area liking Sora too.
I think
Like,
the thing that sort of sticks out to me is that it's the first model that actually kind of understands cinematic language. Like,
yes.
other things have been like, okay, here's a shot. Here's a piece. But this one's actually like, okay, there's a story and a structure to it. And it's doing that with, I mean, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I just said, I'm still processing it. It's
yeah,
exciting, thrilling. I had this, like, I posted on LinkedIn that everybody always likes to talk about like the printing press, like, and what that, that turning point at the printing press. And I think this, and they compare it to AI or Web3 or a lot of things get that. I feel very press about this Sora 2 thing. I think it has suddenly opened up the ability for people to publish, which has been happening anyway, but this one feels extra to me. We have some really awesome guests today. Again, I'm worried for them because I think we're all just going to talk about Sora the whole time, but let's see how this goes. Uh,
Hey, Brad,
um,
or
yeah.
anybody who's tried it yet, is is Sora better than running it like through comfy UI? Does that improve it? That's
totally
just
different thing.
totally different
Totally.
thing. Okay.
It's totally different thing. I don't think you can even like the 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 purpose of it, the function of it are just totally like this is for casual users and like it's next generation. It's much more than this, but it's like Bitmojis. Like
It's like,
I'm here.
I mean, like they created a social media tool.
Yeah.
Start there. Like it
I,
isn't
well,
just
I think it's
you know,
totally. I think it's people are comparing it to VO, but I think it's much more of an attack on Twitter and
uh,
Facebook who think that they're
Well,
going to
and the
build their own
Meta
tools. And this,
and the Meta app. I think like the Meta vibes thing
yeah.
is it looked boring because it's like, why would I watch AI generated about whatever? But it's like, oh, you put me and my friends in it. I'm gonna stay up for too many hours in a row last night making more of them and remixing them because it's us. It makes it more personal than just this like general AI feed that Meta wanted to make. So I think it was like a direct competitor to that, maybe.
That feels very likely. The hands are going up. I don't know what's going to happen today. I think Min's going to take over in a second too. Let's start with Fred because your hand came up.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Fred, great.
So I know you always laugh at me for being Mr. Skeuomorphic, but I'm constantly talking to production companies and studios, and they're like, "Well, what is the competition doing?" And for the first time now, I have a slide in my deck that just says, "Forget the competition. The time for eyeballs, the people. Here's your competition, and views and Sora." And the fact that people will spend now, I believe, a significant part of every day either creating something goofy in Sora or even useful, right? And watching what your friends and family are doing. And that's going to be, I think it's going to become part of your day that you're going to wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, my nephew made this hilarious thing, or my friend made this hilarious thing, or oh my God, somebody finally showed me how to put this screw in on the back of my refrigerator. So yeah, I think this is now competition for anybody who makes media.
Yeah. John Gaunt, you were next up with your hands patiently raised.
Yeah, this is me throwing on my old analyst hat, and living within 5 minutes of Microsoft HQ in Redmond. The fact that this is general purpose, we need to think of this as more than content. This is a communication medium as much as it is a content medium that they're working with Sora, and Microsoft figured that early on when they were positioning Word, which all of us in journalism, in some of those early versions of Word and word processing, where it was like, well, this isn't how professional writers work. We were entirely correct, and it didn't fucking matter. It just went out. And then, especially, I'm of the generation where I've got handwritten letters at my parents. And if you look at the march of generations, you change how people communicate and give them more fidelity to kind of say, this is in my head, and I'm going to blop onto the page, and it's smooth and intuitive. That's what they're going to do. And they're simultaneously going to be changing their tastes along with it. So the competition isn't they're going to make as good a stuff as we make as creators. It's their tastes are going to change because they're creating for their own shit. So
Yeah, that's why it feels more printing press to me than anything. As I sort of
that's a
putting a
much
new
more metaphor.
a new setting for how people are publishing themselves, and it may or may not meet with film and TV. It's going to be something new. It's well, and obviously Zuckerberg is after the same thing. To Jagger's point, that of what it's in the competition of it all. And look, in some ways, VO3 gave us an early taste of watching people create fake selfie blogs. It's interesting. Winston, your hands up. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just want to point out the tool versus the marketing because I do agree with John. So I think marketing wise, they have the cameo feature and the remix feature for virality, right? But when I was using it, I didn't even use the cameo feature at all. I just used text to video. And then you can do really cool like mock-ups and trailers and scenes very quickly. So I think that when people are like, oh, it's just memes or it's just for like the general audience, I don't think so. I think it's a really big jump. And I think depending on who's using it, you're going to see either memes or like the next Christopher Nolan. So that's my opinion.
Bold. Well, it's probably going to be all of the above, right? And Michael Runnan, I see your hands up. Having spent this last weekend with you and continuing to learn how much of a perpetual performer you are. When I saw this tool, I'm like, oh, this was just designed for you. This is a gift from the gods to Michael Runnan. What do you think?
Yeah, I had a meeting with an investor 3 weeks ago, talking to him about a concept like this. I said, why don't you do this? Like, this is how everything works. He told me, no way. This is so narcissistic, Michael. Nobody will do something like this. I said, give 2 weeks and let's see. Because you remember the presentation I did on the machine cinema in LA, and I showed what I did with the reels. I really feel there's some joy in seeing ourselves going through, like Brian is a leader of like an Eastern European dictatorship. I mean, I feel like I've been with him. So I just dropped my link to the Sora, whoever has it. I'm very open to cameos. And I find it like, this is a new way of communicating. And
Yeah.
I love what we're doing.
I'm humbled by it constantly. What the team at OpenAI and all of these companies, we're in an age of abundance, and it's incredible. Nick, there he is. There he is. Sorry, you came into a very busy week for the world and the things that you do. We're going to pivot into meeting our friends today that have made time to meet with us. I think a lot of us here in LA know you. I think a lot of people on the internet know you. I think people that pay attention to the bleeding edge of what's happening in this space know you. But today we get to talk to you. I feel lucky that Min and I got to be a part of an event with you in DC a few months ago.
Yeah, that was tight.
And like just watching your trajectory, I think it's just exciting for so many of us that are joining with different motives, different instincts, different skills. But whether it's the Toys R Us commercial that you sort of really led with, what is clearly an explosive space of what commercials and AI can do. We can also talk about Critters today, which if nobody's paying attention to what is by many accounts the first real movie that is, at least getting a lot of attention. And I think most interestingly has sort of started to solve the copyright issue. There's a lot there. I think you've just really positioned yourself and you're doing the work that inspires so many of us of how do we all build careers and make meaningful content here. But I also want to learn about what you're cooking up with Elizabeth Holmes today. But I'll come back to you. You also shared yesterday your thoughts. So maybe connecting to the dots with what we've just been talking about. We'd love you to introduce yourself and let's jump right in.
Well, I'm honored to be here with Machine Cinema, and I actually love this community. I love the WhatsApp group whenever I remember to look at it, because unfortunately you all are all so active that I have to mute the WhatsApp notifications on my phone. Otherwise it would just be going off all day long. So, but I think what you're doing for the community and education and everything is pretty incredible. Min also, and Afan actually helped out with, this brand storytelling kind of function that we did, I don't know, a couple months ago now or something
in Atlanta, and, educating brands about how to use AI tools, I think is really interesting. And, obviously, yeah, something I've been kind of diving into because that's how I came up in many ways. Always wanted to be a filmmaker, you know, tried anything I could do to get into Hollywood. I started by picking up trash for years as a PA and getting people coffee, and then became an art department guy. And, I was like, oh, this is basically being a furniture mover. It's maybe not this. But then I became an art department shopper, which is like you would drive around the prop shops and take photos of stuff, of props. And then back when I was doing it, because I'm OLD, you had to take photos of them on a disposable camera and then go to the 1 hour photo and print them out. And then write on the back of them, like where each of the props came from, and then go back to the production office and then, be like, here's where these props are. This rubber fish is from Universal, and this rubber fish is from RPL. And, now like my employees and people that work for me don't want to like work past 3 p.m., but that's a whole different story. And then, going into, just making my own shorts and stuff, and editing. And I couldn't find enough people to help me edit stuff. So then I learned how to become an editor, and then, started working at agencies. Eventually got really into design. I worked at a lot of design shops. You and Company is one. They did a lot of main titles. I ended up creative director of Digital Kitchen for 7 years. And we did a lot of main title sequences. I did the Narcos intro. I did Bloodline. I worked on Dexter. I worked on True Blood, a bunch of just, iconic title sequences where I learned how to distill the themes or ideas of a show down into 30 seconds or a minute or whatever. And you get to be kind of artful while doing so. So you're both storytelling, and you're also kind of, getting to be creative, which is really fun. Then the way I learned how that business works is, yeah, but Digital Kitchen has all these brand partners and brand clients that actually pay for us to do all this cool shit. The cool shit never pays enough money. It's always like a line item way down at the bottom of the barrel where, it's like subsidized basically by, doing work for whoever, AT&T. So I kind of learned the brand world, learned the brand business. And at a certain point, the writing was on the wall. It was time to make a move. And so there was a few of us that started Native Foreign that all came from Digital Kitchen. We were doing okay. We were growing. COVID, we were actually doing experiential stuff because at DK, I did the LAX Tom Bradley terminal. I did the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas, like these people trapped in these columns and stuff. And then COVID actually totally crushed us, and COVID destroyed our business because we were doing all this experiential stuff at the time. And then, my current partner and I, we bought out our other partner because, he was kind of done. And then obviously in comes AI. And I think when we started doing AI stuff, it all definitely kind of changed for us. And I looked at everything from the lens of everything I'd learned to that point. Change kind of being the only constant I've ever known. So it was very natural to just kind of flow into AI. And, longtime collaborator of mine, Chad, and I, we were talking about doing a project together, and we kind of pitched OpenAI, the Critters idea back then, and it was a kind of David Attenborough Planet Earth crashing on a Monty Python sketch. And I think in that early time, when every single AI demo was like a dystopian sci-fi thing, it was just this cute, irreverent, fun little thing. And I think that's why it was successful. And then we obviously went from there, and the festival run and all that. And meantime, had just been, we remastered it with Sora. Critters with a Z.TV, you can kind of see a bunch of stuff. You could see the behind the scenes, you could see the process of making the first one. And then we remastered it. And we always wanted to do a longer expression of it. And we partnered with a company in the UK that had done a ton of feature films, because obviously we'd come from a lot of short form stuff. And that company, Vertigo, collaborating with them, we got the writers in Paddington and Peru to help basically turn this into a feature film. And that's what we're doing now. Obviously, the news came out a couple of weeks ago that OpenAI is backing it. We've got some interesting partners on it. And our goal is to create it by next summer. So we're off to the races doing it. Meanwhile, all the while, we're still doing a lot of the brand service work that we do. We work with Delta, we work with Coca-Cola, many other, Fortune 100s, just startups. We've done all sorts of wild stuff. We actually worked for Tools for Humanity
for, Sam Altman's other thing. So we've done like some launch videos for them and stuff. Pretty interesting going on over there. But yeah, I mean, being involved, like, for example, we did the Delta Sphere thing for CES this year. And that was really cool because it was a mix of live action production, hybrid stuff, and then also using AI to visualize what the future of light would look like through the eyes of kids. And so we would use AI, interview these kids, and they're like, it's an airplane with feathers on it. And then we make it real quick and then we show it to them. And then you actually capture their natural, like, human reaction. And there's like something really, really sweet about that. Right. And then using AI and a blend of VFX and stuff, we then comped it back into the stuff that we played on the Sphere and all that. So I don't know what your original question was, but that's, I guess, like a snapshot of where I've been and what I've been doing and all that stuff. No, I mean, I think you're like a lot of people, that there's a lot of different types of opportunities. Your background is really diverse. I mean, one thing that I think connects a little bit to what we were all talking about before you hopped on was and you posted your own like video of what early access to the new Sora was, and like a lot of people that, we're all getting to see how people have been playing with it already. I think for someone that it might be surprising to other people, I still generally identify as an introvert. So to me, this whole like age of being a creator, being out in the open is actually new to me, but I find inspiration in people like you, like Ronan was talking earlier. So many people in this group, there's this sort of like almost return to Charlie Chaplin in a way that something just dawned on me, that he was an actor, he was a director, he was a producer. Like there's this sort of like multi-hyphenate thing happening again.
Yeah.
Of how performance and also being a part that these things are all like informing what this new medium is capable of.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you have an opinion on that, like how, because you're also you used to make rock, maybe still do make rock and roll music. You're very comfortable in front of people.
Not rock and roll, my friend. Rap.
Excuse me,
Hip hop. Boom
rap, baby.
I'm so sorry, Nick. Fred thinks all of that's the same. I'm so sorry.
It's not the same. I'll put you on to some beats. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've always felt like a little bit like an outcast because I do feel I'm so interested in so many things. And, there's the kind of whole, yeah, I love Buster Keaton. There's the whole kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. But then like the second half of the saying, but often better than a master of one. And, I think we've been forced to be like, well, you this, and you like are just an editor and that's all you do. And like, the truth is, creative is a creative, and there's so many expressions of creativity. And yeah, like, music to editing. And my hot take is like the editor is the new director, right? Because you're sitting there and you're putting it together, especially with AI workflows. Like you are driving what this thing is, you're directing. I mean, yeah, you're directing from a keyboard, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. It's like the creative intention and the storytelling that is important of what you're putting together and what your vision is. So I do think it's an exciting time and opportunity for, just generally creative people to start putting stuff out. Like a lot of the stuff I've been doing on Sora 2, I was just like looking through notepads of like all these film ideas and random shit that I want to do that like I'm never going to do because I have a million ideas, and like there's no way I'm going to make a short film for each of these or get somebody to fund each of these. But now it's like you can just like start to explore ideas. The memory maker thing, I was talking shit about dystopian sci-fi. Meanwhile, I'm just as guilty of it as everybody. But like the memory maker film I made, that was an idea that was 20 years old. That was like, oh, in the future, like there's a job where people paint memories for robots, androids and stuff. And what does that look like? And then, yeah, we were able to finally make it in two phases. First was with TCL, where they were, doing their studio, and they funded the initial version of it. And then, I hooked up with the Wonder guys and gals, and they were like, oh yeah, let's expand this. Let's blow it out even more. I think this is the original version. And then, basically they funded us to be able to kind of 2x the length of this and dive deeper into what these memories look like and all that stuff. So it's awesome. Like, I love it. I've always wanted to do originals, and now we're here and we're doing it. So it's a super exciting time. And yeah, and Elizabeth
really
Holmes
exciting.
is our new partner at our company. I mean, I can announce it here officially. She's, we're doing a collabo, and yeah, no, it's really exciting. I mean, it's really bringing in all kinds of new contributors into the creative space, even like prisoners and criminals. are part of the creative process now. Sure.
Hey,
I joke
I
to
don't,
anybody
you know
thinking
what?
that's-
I don't judge. It's not my place to judge. Everybody's got their own path. I'm sure that was valuable for her in some way.
It is a very interesting choice.
She
of
will
words.
be
She says
leading our
this is
fundraising
criminally
round.
underlined.
Yeah, she is leading our next fundraising round. So, or our first fundraising round. Yeah.
But what's it? But you look, it's silly that she says it's criminally underwatched. That's an interesting choice of words. But I also think it points to the breakthrough in culture that's happening. Like, but I don't know if she represents mainstream, but I don't know. This is finding its way into a lot of people's feeds, the work that's happening. I think sometimes we show up to like a Project Odyssey or these events that some of us attended. It's still a relatively small community of a lot of familiar faces, which on the one hand is what makes this feel really family vibes and stuff that we really love with machine cinema. But it does feel like a breakthrough moment. And you continue to be sitting, whether it's finally getting Elizabeth Holmes to comment on generative AI or doing Toys R Us commercials and really making movies. I mean, one thing I want to ask about Critters, and I hope this isn't too wonky, I think to a lot of people on this call that pay attention to copyright, is there a quick narrative you have? Because I think that's one of the biggest breakthroughs I see in that film is that you guys are, at least from what I read in the news, that you're resolving some of these other issues that are emerging with AI collectors. It's like, how do you actually restore confidence in your distribution partners that this covers the basis that IP needs to have to exploit? I mean, it sounds wonky, but I think that's a really exciting thing that you and Chad figured out.
Yeah. I mean, we have a great lawyer. So obviously Perkins Coie is a really reputable firm. So that helps. And they know how to speak that language that I just can't really stand. Honestly, every time I have to do anything legal, it's my least favorite possible thing to deal with. But, I think it's ultimately the TLDR is it's human authorship, and it's keeping really good track of your human authorship. And we did it with Critters. Luckily, I don't know why we did it, but we did it. And now, by the way, every project we do, whether it's an original native form project or it's a brand project, it's almost like behind the scenes is a give it. Like, yep, we're making a behind the scenes film. We're showing how this goes. Like, I think showing your work as part of this is pretty critical now. If not just for the curiosity. And I think it's really interesting. And sometimes you see that like the BTS performs better than the original or the actual thing sometimes. But I think also for questions like copyright, you want to be able to prove that humans were at the core of all the decisions made. And here's the different character sketches we did. And here's how we then transformed them. And, I think being able to always call back to that provenance is super important. And yeah, we've cracked it now. We know what to do. And we're going even deeper with the Critters feature in the sense that there's so many humans driving the process. Everything's being drawn originally at first. I mean, not everything, but all the key stuff, right? And then AI can be used to fill out some of the rest, some of the world around it. But I'll just give a quick anecdote. We've got one of the original storyboard artists from the 1996 Space Jam working on Critters, and when he came in the building, he's I don't know about this AI stuff. It's a lot. And then like 2 weeks into the job, he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can like draw faster and do this and ideate quicker. So it's like, the idea is not to replace human creativity. The idea is to just help people do more stuff. And I do sincerely believe that, we as creatives are already going to get more chances at bat because the investments don't have to be so high, because smaller teams can do more. We get more opportunities. Like we're going to get through projects quicker. It's going to be less critical if a project is a huge success or a huge failure. And we're going to be able to do more stuff. So that's what I'm really excited about as just a creator that's always just like create by any means necessary. Have been a guerrilla filmmaker since I was 11 years old, sneaking into the mall and getting kicked out by the dudes in the golf cart. Like whatever we got to do to make this thing, we're making it.
It's awesome. If folks have questions, please raise hands. And as Winston just did, or drop in the chat, we'll do our best. And Min, if I miss anything, please put the questions in the chat. But Winston, go ahead.
Hey, Nik, I want to know, since y'all are trying to go to theater next year, how are y'all viewing, I guess, like audience, like content fatigue? Because I kind of felt it yesterday as I was scrolling. And how are you going to get people like back in the seats for new IP? Because Hollywood's been struggling with that.
For sure.
I think, look, obviously we've got a lot of noise going on with this project. I think there's a lot of curiosity. I think it could work for this one. Not necessarily the case for all new IP, but I think that, if you get interesting creatives involved, like for example, on our end, we've got the Paddington guys, right? And so there's already something interesting or marketable about that. But I think being able to, in many ways, the fact that it is new IP is really great because you're unencumbered by, all these deals and rights holders and this and that. It's just like, yep, you're free and it's time to go. But like, look at Flow, like that's new IP and that won a freaking Oscar. So, I mean, I think that it's definitely possible. There is a lot of fatigue. So I think at that end, the P&A still matters and the distribution still does kind of matter. What does the future of distribution look like? That's a different question. But I think that there's also going to be on the flip side of it, fatigue from, when the AI tools get so good that, we can just be pumping out a Minions movie every day. And I'm showing my 6-year-old, a Minions movie. He might get sick of that too. He'd be like, well, I don't know, Dad, I watched like 8 new Minions movies this week that I asked it to make, and I'm kind of bored now. I want something else. So I think as the tools all catch up and then they all keep up leveling, I think it's the job of creatives and artists to then look at that and be like, okay, well, if that's what it's doing, what are we doing to elevate it? What are we doing to push it to the next level? And I think that's why it will always be important.
Jagger, you raised your
Jagger.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, you. Thanks for
Oh,
putting all those funny filters all over my face. You're the best.
yeah. Are you liking those?
I did love that. Yeah. That was a great
So
chat
much
we
fun.
had.
Yeah, if anyone's on social, you can see an interview I did with Nick with Dream Lab, and we modified his footage to put him in crazy outfits and put different critters on his shoulders.
Yeah.
So
And
fun. I do have a question about, you might not be here yet in terms of critters, but like for getting the resolution for a screen that's going to be that big, I'm curious, what do you think the process is going to be for kind of like editing frame by frame to make sure we're not seeing the like little blurry motion,
yeah.
like the things that AI can do for this huge screen when it's going to be so, you're going to be under the microscope and critiqued for that. So what is the kind of plan for post to handle that?
I've been very used to doing look, we've been doing a bunch of AI projects, and I don't know if anyone on this call worked on the Carbone thing with me, because I feel like we're all like this awesome big community and we all kind of help out on each other's projects and stuff. I'm looking through here to see if anyone has or not. No, maybe not. But like we just did this Carbone thing, and Mario opened up this. Oh, there you are, Jake. What's up, dude? So we opened up this restaurant in London, or he did. And, it was like, oh, we've got to put this restaurant together and go from New York to London. And, we had to get scans of Mario's face and his co-founder's face. And then, dude, it's just like, you all know the AI process, like, oh my God, there's just so many problems. Like this doesn't work, that doesn't work. You're just trying to get those shots right. And in the end, we're painting stuff out, right? Like there's VFX that's happening because, yeah, like people expect something. I kind of thought I got everything. Of course, the internet is like, oh, that's a bad hand right there. Like, okay, like, sure. I don't want to be misleading. And I think part of the charm of AI stuff is actually that it's not perfect. And I think we are developing a new visual language. And I think people are going to have different expectations. Are we going to clean up stuff that's egregiously wrong? Yes. Are we going to fix eye lines? Yes. Are we going to try to fix in between frames of motion blur? Maybe. It's kind of case by case. It's kind of seeing what happens, right? And we've got the upscaling things that are out now, but we're also exploring building our own kind of upscaling pipelines and techniques. So, yeah, I mean, it's all a massive experiment. So we're going to kind of see. What'd you say, man? Yeah, and finish it all in the 11th hour. Yeah, no, we're just going to wait till like the week before it's done and just hit generate. Plan.
That would be like a traditional VFX film.
Exactly.
If anybody has any more questions, I want to make time for Ryan today, but
yeah.
I mean, what I guess it's like, it's hard not to wonder, but obviously there's a lot to focus on with critters, and maybe that's the short answer. like while you're seeing these sectors emerge for native born and yourself as things that you're really like, are there other categories, and maybe Sora 2 is starting to get our minds thinking differently about other types of publishing and creation. Are there other categories that either you are working on that you're excited about? Maybe it's music videos to bring your rap career back into the spotlight.
I did make a video for an old rap song of mine. It's called Dominant. And it's not really rap, but it was spoken word, but it was like this story about my dad and being in Soviet Russia, and like this POV film I made back in like early Sora days, only text to video. And that one, I did a post, like it won best music video at LA Shorts International, which has been around for like 30 years. And what I thought was interesting about that is like an AI film festival, just a film festival. And it's like an Oscar qualifier and this and that. So it's like, oh, we're crossing into the edge now where things made with AI and things made traditionally aren't necessarily going to be split up anymore. And then the truth is it's going to get so mixed. It's just, we're making stuff. So yeah, we're working on all sorts of stuff, you know, from the feature expression to other things and brand work still. So I don't want to take up any more time. I want Ryan to chat, but I will just say to the group, we're doing a lot of stuff. So if you guys, you know, if I'm not aware of you and you're looking for projects right now, like we're very, very busy. So definitely like send me reels and messages and you know, we're constantly doing stuff. So yeah, always looking for new talent and at native foreign. So thanks everybody. Oh,
a couple questions come up. I just wanted to comment one last thing that I wish I'd said earlier. So that video that you described about your dad's story,
yeah, it's
that
called
was before I
Dominant.
knew you personally. That was when I was fanboying you and I didn't know you yet. But I remember seeing it on LinkedIn and I just loved something you said in your post, which is here's something that wouldn't have been made otherwise, or some version of that. And
Yeah.
sort of, that's to me one of the favorite things. I always try to like remind myself of what's possible with AI is that so many of these things just wouldn't be made because there isn't some brand waiting to fund you or some studio waiting to fund you.
Exactly.
It's the narrative. And that's what I think. I love that spirit that you've, while you're highly commercial and doing these things, like you're still leaning into these things that are uniquely you or things that speaks to you. It also became the post that I think Pippa saw me repost that became your producing partner on your
the Somniloquo series.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just love the full circle of when social media does good.
Love it.
I'm glad to connect with you over that.
Love it.
While we have a couple questions, Jake, you had your hand up as a collaborator. What were you going to say?
Yes. Hey, Nick. I was just
Jay.
wondering what the like team build is for a project like Critters, since it's the first of its kind.
I mean, it's kind of a little similar to the stuff that you've been, you know, dealing with us on, but it's also more organized. Like what we're trying to do, and we're assembling the team now, and some have already started working. But it's kind of, I think, a little bit more important that people are in the room together. And because there's so much that we need to align on like a big project like that. And, you know, look, like I run an agency, I do 22 jobs at a time. I'm very, very good at multitasking and being able to go, but like Critters, it's such a big undertaking and endeavor. We're printing out things and putting them on the walls. And like, we all have to treat this like a real film project because it is. So that's kind of the one differentiator that we're trying to do. And we are doing it in London, by the way. So it's kind of like a lot of artists I like working with are kind of like, yo, what's up with Critters? And I'm like, yo, do you live in London or are you willing to go live in London for half a year or whatever? So that's kind of part of what we're doing. I will say there will still be some remote and, you know, kind of work from home or from all over for certain artists or certain key things or moments. But that's been the big differentiating factor. It's funny. It's like, as advanced as we are, there's still like some very traditional things that we all need to do to make great creative, I think.
Cool. Thank you, Jake. Philip, you are patiently with your hand up and we'll pivot to Ryan. And I wanted to, before we go to Ryan, I'm also going to bring up Adriana for a second. She had an announcement for herself, but Philip, one more question from you for Nick. Yeah.
Thanks, Fred. Quick question. Do you guys already have sort of a plan on like how to market it once it's made? And are you producing things differently with the notion that you actually have to sort of like tell the story and like show some of the, like, is part of your production of processing and the B-roll going to kind of go out there? And are you going to work? Anyways, that's my thought. Like, how are you going to distribute?
Yes, Philip. We are, you know, basically going to be live blogging our process. And like already there exist many videos of our process. They're just not public yet.
as we kind of go along into it, we want to keep people up to speed and up to date with what we're doing, not unlike what the Flow team did with just, kind of like in progress of that project. Cause I think it's like, I'd be interested. So, we want to just kind of let people know how it's coming along, to celebrate our wins, laugh at our failures, and, just keep moving.
All right, just because I don't want to, Alex, if you have a quick question, I do want to make space for a couple more people, and obviously, Nick, if you don't have to run off, if you're able to answer any questions in chat, if people keep expressing their excitement. But Alex, go ahead.
Quick question here. And thank you so much for taking the time. But from a workflow perspective, do you guys have any kind of best practices or platforms that you like to share footage across team efforts for review? And for a little bit of context, just making AI films with my team, figuring out a good way to kind of review each other's work has definitely been a struggle with everyone being remote.
Yeah. I mean, we use Frame, we're doing some Frame stuff. We're building something different for Critters. A lot of our native form projects, I mean, are Miro board based, and, the chaos of Slack, for better or worse. Like, it's great and it's fast, but yeah, I mean, shit gets really messy. So we've been looking into that as well. So like, the crazy thing about all these projects is they are all due like yesterday, and everything's always on fire. So it's hard to be building the ship while it's sinking. Like, you're repairing the ship and like trying to figure things out and get across the Atlantic. So yeah, Alex, I'm happy to keep in touch and kind of keep you posted on what we're developing. But yeah, I mean, Airtable, Miro, Slack, Frame, all that stuff.
Right. Thanks, Nick.
Not the least interesting questions. These are probably the things that affect the real people in the trenches the most. Thank you very much, Nick. Honestly, been just grateful for your friendship over the last years. We all get to know each other on these journeys, and thanks for hopping in today. We're hopeful to get to talk to Chad soon, actually, because he also has his own epic legend to tell of all the things that you guys overlapped, and he's also been doing on his own. But thank you for your time today. I'm going to pivot and unpin you. You will no longer be the giant face on everybody's screen for a minute. Just before we jump to Ryan, Adriana, who was so great to hear from you again the other day. You've been such a long time member. Just because you mentioned it when we met you earlier, like your film is ready for people to look at it soon. Do you want to talk a little bit? And this is a regular just cinema in the cinema side of Machine Cinema. Do you want to jump up and tell people real quick?
Really, I just realized I was muted. Hi, everyone. So for those who don't know me, so I'm Adriana. I'm a creative technologist, director, and actress. And I've been working for a long time on a short film that's a proof of concept for my upcoming feature. It's named Mermaids. And I'm bringing this up because a lot of people here in the community have been invested in it. And we're premiering in 2 weeks at Screamfest at the Chinese Theater on Sunday. So we have a after party after that. So I'm dropping the link in the chat, and I'm so excited. And it is indeed a traditional film with like practical effects and VFX. There was a bit of AI in the pre-production and, visualization and so on. But yeah, live action. Good old dark fantasy horror live action film.
Just in time for Halloween. Is there any links you want to share for people to catch up with you?
Yeah, I put the party full link.
Right.
So this is the party full is for everything Mermaids related, so the screening and then the after party after. But then there's the link to get the tickets directly from the festival and the Chinese Theater.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. The long journey that is to be a filmmaker. We all get to share it together, and yeah, it is cool that it's been another Machine Cinema joint, as Spike Lee might have called it. Great work, Grass, and great to see your face. And we hope to hear more about Mermaids. All right, the Hollywood's Ryan Reeb. Genuinely, I mean, I remember I just saw you in the chat a few times, and there's actually some pretty awesome, just very vocal debates. You were not afraid to express yourself, and I love it. But then as I got to know you, because then Nem actually looped you and me and Min in on what will hopefully be the Alice in Wonderland project. And then I actually Googled you, and I'm like, oh, fuck. That this is like legend status in terms of the works you've done, Marvel projects, Transformers. really very aware of what visual effects are capable of. And it sounds like that the nice folks at Curious Refuge that thought I should have something to do with helping people understand AI for documentaries, they recognize that you should be there to help people understand AI for visual effects. If people haven't noticed that you can learn from a genius like Ryan, you should on the Curious Refuge website. But obviously, new stuff is happening for you as it is for everybody. Excited for people to meet you if they haven't, learn about what's going on. And you had some things you wanted to share with us. So I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. I mean, how do you follow that? Nick's been a legend in my life. First fell on my radar with the Toys R Us thing. And ever since then, I was like, who's this guy? Got to meet this guy. And I think Adriana and I first connected with Todd through AILA and through, what was it, AI on the Lot. That was a fun experience. Congrats to both of you on blazing the trail for all of us. I think at the end of the day, at least for a large majority of us, we want to be doing films. We want to be making films, commercials, short films, all the things that will allow you to flex your creative muscle. Yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm sorry. Sometimes I turn on the fire hose in the WhatsApp channel and I just don't hold back with my sometimes often unpopular opinion. But I guess the TLDR of my career is I've been in visual effects and I've had literally every position in the VFX pipeline, from a rotoscoping artist, a PA, to a modeler, texture, lighter, look dev, compositing, VFX supervisor, CG supervisor, and now more recently, I've been building teams and helping studios establish fully functional visual effects pipelines and departments. I ran the VFX department at Step Studios for a while, and then I do this thing where I'll hibernate for a little bit and kind of retool and upskill myself. So I spent about 8 months to a year just learning as much about AI as I can and deploying AI to those invisible steps of the VFX pipeline, like motion capture and rotoscoping, the things where you're sending like $30,000 jobs to India and getting it back overnight, and just using AI to like help save the margins on your budgets and stuff like that. So now I have, like, I don't know, spread in many directions, still trying to make feature films. That's kind of where my heart is. But now I'm executive producing feature films using AI with Obsidian Studio, which, if you were tracking about a year ago, the director, Wes Walker, he did a campaign for Under Armour, which it landed real hard on the internet, and it changed the ad agency world forever. He made a lot of attention, and it was a lot of negative attention. Directors didn't understand AI, and it was kind of opening the doors of AI to the ad world. And it was scary. There was a lot of fear, but he didn't let it affect him. He just kind of put his head down, collected a bunch of high profile clients. And for the past year, we've been operating in stealth mode. And in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be launching with proper PR and articles and all the things. There's a lot of really fantastic Hollywood level partnerships. We have a pretty large partnership we're going to announce. I unfortunately can't on this call, but if you just keep your eyes peeled, you'll see it. I'll blast it out into the machine cinema world. But working on full feature films, documentaries. We got a roster of commercials in progress right now. Some of them are awarding, some of them are pushing, some of them are pitching, but anywhere from like 10 to 20 commercials at a time. So I didn't realize Nick and I had so much overlap. Like, I think you might have mixed us up. I was the rock and roll guy and Nick was the rapper. So when our powers combine, we're going to end up being like a Limp Bizkit meets Nonpoint, like rap rock duo, when we're both, presenting our films at Cannes in 2 years. But yeah, it's been a hell of a journey. And I guess most of my informed experience comes from VFX, where I don't see AI any different than VFX, really. It's shots, it's assets for shots, it's compositing, it's the magic of like blending the two together. And it's not so much like, hey, we're an AI studio. We're a creative studio, and we use a lot of AI first. And we see what's happening with budgets and how they're just getting smaller and harder, and people want more and more VFX. So how can you achieve the vision of a director and the vision of a client and stay within scope? So now we have all these wonderful tools, right? So we're not pitching Obsidian necessarily as an AI studio. We're just a studio. To me, it makes the same amount of sense to be like, hey, we're a company, we're a Photoshop studio. We're using Photoshop. No one pitches a commercial or a film as like the tool, right? So I like to see AI as tools. And at Obsidian, one of the things we pride ourselves on is to kind of reduce the amount of fear and, oh, it's going to take my job. We're literally pulling people out of retirement, similar to like when Tarantino did the 70mm roadshow with the Hateful Eight. Like there weren't enough projectionists. He had to pull projectionists out of retirement to show the films. So we're bringing people that haven't worked in years, a couple years, high-end, world-class storyboard artists, so we're starting with the hand. We put the pencil, we put the brush, we're training Laura's on storyboard styles, painters styles, photography styles. We're doing projects for Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Longchamp, and a lot that cannot be disclosed, but high profile brands, premium level stuff. Building teams, we've got remote teams in Europe, Paris, Belgium, South Africa, and I'm on board here to help scale our Los Angeles studio. So constantly recruiting talent, CompUI people, generative AI prompters. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is these models like Sling and Runway and Luma, they're all trained on publicly sourced stuff. So we as well are documenting what the behind the scenes process, proving like, hey, this model was trained with this person's art style. But even going beyond that, we're being audited by the production companies. Like what artists, how many images, paying those artists their royalties. And then that Laura gets handed over to the production company at the end of the project. And I know a lot of this stuff because when I worked back in God, I'm going to date myself here, but 2000, when Hollow Man, the movie, was being made. So that whole digital body ended up being Kevin Bacon's property. And that like he owned that. It's his digital likeness. So it's a similar thing with like the training data that goes into the Lauras. That's that artist's property and they're getting their royalties. So we're trying to figure out how to put the control of the project in the hand of the artist, and not just the tool or the executive producers and the bankers and everyone running the job. But yeah, where to go from here? Like, I guess I got comfortable being on stage when I was in high school, like screaming at a crowd and doing backflips and like handing them the microphone. And that gives me this ability to like go on pitches and perform in front of a room full of people I don't know. And we're pushing the creative, in a world where everyone's going to do everything. It's two games. You got tools and you have IP, right? So I feel like you can hustle and you can build your custom tool, which we're doing. We do have solutions for bit depths and resolution. And to answer Jagger's question earlier, we have tools in development. We have a full stack dev team building tools for our workflows. We have CompUI artists building out JSON workflows that we're then packaging up into tools and we're using for our film projects. And eventually those are going to evolve and grow, but it can only grow while you're growing IP because everyone's going to be able to do everything, right? So you put the creator first and you put the artist first, focus on the storytelling, focus on your unique perspective and the idea. And I don't think there's ever going to be enough control. Like there's no way you can move the camera that you're not going to want to do something different or like take off the prime lens and put a tilt shift lens on or something weird. Like there's no limit to human creativity. So as the tools grow, I feel like we have to raise the bar of creativity with it. I have visuals for the company that I've been working with, Obsidian.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. Yeah.
Let me try to share my screen without exposing how many tabs I use.
I think that's just a form of connection when we all realize that we have the same tab system. So that's impressive. Well,
Are you able to see that?
We can see the tabs. And I can see your deck too.
Okay, cool. So this, I'm just going to blast through this real quick, just to give you a perspective of like, I'm coming from VFX, right? Wes Walker's coming from a background of high-end creative directing, high-end directing. And it's kind of our approach with how we talk to the clients. We're not selling them necessarily on AI, but we're selling them on creativity and photorealism. So we're a global company and we're big brands like Under Armour and Mercedes. We're tech enabled in the creative process, offering everybody all the services, all the tools, but we're really leaning into like the CGI, the VFX. If you want full control, we're building out Previs and Unreal Engine. We're doing style transfers and CompUI, but we're holding the hand of the client all the way through the process. And it's kind of changed the whole deliverables Like now we're creating deliverables in pre-production that were normally saved to the end of the project. But we pride ourselves with working with the artist directly, similar to what Verena and John are doing with Luma. It's like we're bringing storyboard artists that worked on movies like Logan, Spider-Man, Cowboys and Aliens, Bumblebee, and they're driving the look of these projects. They understand lensing, perspective, contrast, layout, form, and how the camera moves around a scene while people are interacting. So getting these people that have a well-trained eye, and then we're style transferring from, storyboards to images that are fully style transferred, and then going from the style transferred images into motion. And then we're treating it very similar to an animation pipeline, like you would at Imagine or DreamWorks, where we start the storyboards in an animatic. We start swapping out the frames of the animatic for the grayscaled CG or the style transferred frames, and then replacing the grayscaled CG and style transferred frames, fully realized animation. And then once you get to a certain point in your animatic, you start to see where the holes are and where compositing and CGI can really be your friend. There's some of the clients we work with, we've got a lot of cool stuff in the pipe. It's hard to condense it down into 10 minutes, but it's going to blaze through. Working with a lot of agencies. I don't know if you remember this spot. This was kind of the one that put Wes on the map. Like, he's a legendary director with a really highly refined eye. I like to say it's the kind of people that have the coffee table book in their head. Those are the people that we want to work with. Those are the people we're not putting out Gen AI slop. And I really hate that terminology. Like, take this, for instance, Wes shot this on his Red Dragon, went around, and there was a combination of shooting on digital, shooting on infrared film, creating LoRa's trained on the photography and the images captured. And then we were able to create this hyper realistic, beautiful infrared looking spot for Chanel, and there's a little bit of things where we know AI doesn't hold up. Like when it comes to the girl's earrings, you're going to want some CAD, some 3D, and you're going to push in and get the real extreme detail of those elements. And then like we did the spot for Crayola, where we trained LoRa's on the actual artist's style. We brought on the concept artist, trained the LoRa on their style, then just a traditional VFX pipeline after that. But I think the number one problem that I'm running into is like, there's a lot of talent out there, but not a lot of talent that comes from production. And the problems we had in production, a lot of them are being solved by AI, but AI alone isn't gonna, you have to understand how to communicate notes to an ECD, to give your notes to your coordinator, so your coordinator can update your shot lists and all these different things. So it's an interesting world where you're getting a lot of creative studios that are like AI based, and they're coming up, while you got a lot of these production companies that are now embracing AI, and we're meeting somewhere in the middle. And I don't think anyone really knows where it is yet. And the same amount of energy to make a commercial can be making feature films. Sorry, I'm hanging on this frame here, but this is an example of
I don't want to. I'm just because Wes is here, you're showing Wes's work. He jumped into the chat, and if he also doesn't want to talk, you're very welcome to learn. I'm just acknowledging it in case you wanted to bring him up. Or
Wes, if you're there, you want to chat?
Hey guys, really nice to meet you. I just wanted to say hello, and Ryan, thank you for this. Yeah, we're building, we're growing. I think to echo what Ryan's saying is it's such an interesting time, and for us to be able to create, I think what we're realizing is just an insane pace of creation. A lot of our focus really is in hybrid, blending live with CG with AI in ways that, it's like great VFX is invisible VFX. You shouldn't be able to tell. It doesn't matter really what you use to make what you made. It's about caring about the audience experience and ensuring that they feel great. And that's a lot of our focus right now, is how do we make things faster, more efficient, more beautiful? How do we blend every tool out there? So right now we're doing a lot of blends, like stuff like this, where it's a blend between, Blender and then reskinning things in AI. Also just doing, AI backdrops on LED volume walls to light products as we're shooting them on set. We did that for Cadillac. So there's a lot of ways besides just 100% AI that I think AI is just so valuable to the pipeline now. And God, every single week it's getting crazy. So, I just want to say thank you, Ryan. Ryan's such a badass. I'm so happy that we're working together and we're building together. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, but thank you guys for having us here.
Thanks, no, thanks for hopping in. And I just felt like, I don't know, we were looking at your work. I wanted to hear from you. I mean, one question I have, I mean, I actually really like the in the trenches of how does it work, but you know, we have a whole jobs channel. If folks haven't seen that in our WhatsApp, we can share the link here. And that's almost for individuals, right? Like individuals that are entering the market of how are they working. And this might even be a fun thing for Nick to jump in on, but you guys are studios, and I think you guys are other types of organisms entering this market that are interacting with market forces that are, you know, have a lot of different POVs on this stuff, whether it's their opinions on what things cost or how things work or feelings they have about the technology. And maybe this is too broad, but I'm curious how you start asking, but like, what might you say from the front lines of the studio launch side of all this? Like how are new studios, and I don't mean like Paramount and Warner Brothers, I mean, what you guys represent, that you're interacting with a new market that has a lot of feelings and thoughts about what you do. What advice or observations do you have?
I mean, I think what I see a lot of is, and I'm not trying to like weigh in on the opinion of how anyone should form a studio, because I don't think, you know, it's the combination of skills that come together that make you what you're going to be anyway. But I see a lot of legacy media studios, and you hear the expression, it's like turning a cruise ship versus turning a motorboat. You know, so for these like old school VFX studios to start adopting technology and change their pipelines, it's like this real slow move. And then you get companies like Secret Level and Promise, and they're like, cool, we're using the technology and we're going to go specifically to where we know the source is going to be. I think, I mean, I love advertising. I love the medium. I love short form storytelling. I love long form storytelling, but there's a lot of problems that in the past like 15 years just haven't been solved that AI is solving. So it's like, I like to cherry pick the things that worked, you know, using Frame.io for deliverables, using ShotGrid to track asset development and project development as a whole, and just keeping everything aggregated into one area, you know, and it's like, you've got WhatsApp, Discord, Slack, and all these other communication tools. Those are fine and dandy, but it's like, I don't think anyone's really truly landed on the tool to rule them all. You know, everybody's still putting together decks and, you know, pitches. But what I do like to take away is like the interaction between a creative director and a client and a director. You're still going to have somebody with an idea that doesn't want to do anything but pay for it. Okay. Those people are out there. There's people that all they want to do is make cool art. They don't want to deal with any of the production. Those people are out there. So there's standards that have been built in that process that has nothing to do with technology. And like Association of Independent Commercial Producers, AICP. So when we put out a bid, we're following AICP standards, contractual agreements. People are getting onboarded properly. People are getting deal memos, and, you know, like the whole job runs the way that it's been proven to work. And that is something I want to take and then partner up with all these new tools as they come out. But, you know, going back to everything we've been talking about with Nick, it's like IP and tools, right? So we're developing both, you know, and as long as, you know, the path to get there is it's going to change with every iteration of software that comes out, like Sora 2, or are we going to use that now in our pipeline? Are we afraid of that? Or are we proud of it? Are we going to embrace it? My whole perspective is the rising tide lifts all ships, and don't let fear guide you, because fear and creativity are not in the same game. If you're going to fear it, it's not going to get you creating. So
That's amazing.
That's the long-winded version.
No, that's a great answer. I mean, a few questions popping up in the chat. I'll go in just in reverse order. Joanna asks, if you were a traditional VFX or post house, what would you be doing now? What would you advise them to do? By the way, Nick, if you have, I think we're in kind of free form. If either of you have thoughts on these questions, please jump in. I'll actually bring both of you up. What do you think of that?
Sure. I think if you're a traditional VFX house, don't spend 4 weeks animating and rigging a character's face that's going to be in 2 shots, when you can use a tool that's, you know, find the way to be agile and pivot based on how fast the creative pivots, and don't get locked into a pipeline that takes weeks or months to develop.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Other question from Jonathan was, you know, is this a heyday for VFX animators and producers in Hollywood with AI, or is there a place for other artists like actors and writers to be a part of the process? That it seems the two are their own, where I see it as it all encompassing for those in the story. Jonathan, if I mangled your question. You're
No,
welcome
I,
to jump
I
in.
understand what he's getting at.
Okay,
You
good.
know, I think it's a heyday. I've never been busier in my life. And I see two camps of people. And to quote Andy Cochran here, I love quoting Andy Cochran. He, AI gives us a jetpack, and everyone that's like fighting it, they're staging a sit-in at the starting line. It's like there's people that are folding their arms and they're pissed off and they're like, you're taking my job, and you know what? They're not getting called to work. You know, you lean into it. It's like I started learning mental ray. No one uses mental ray anymore. You go from mental ray to RenderMan, to V-Ray, to Arnold, to Redshift, to Cycles, to real-time rendering and Lumen and Path Tracer and Unreal. And it's like, that's not going to keep changing. I mean, that's going to keep evolving. So in a way, it's like, and this might sound arrogant, and this is those opinions we were talking about in the WhatsApp chat, where it's like, as a VFX artist, I've had to retool myself every 2 years, the past 20 years. So I don't feel bad for people that are like having to be forced to like adapt some new technology to upskill themselves in the career that they're in. It feels like we're given superpowers and I get to do things that I haven't been able to do by myself. I'm pulling decks that I pitched to Jimmy World back in the day. I pitched to Fallout Boy, and I'm pulling these decks out of the closet and I'm just making fun music videos for myself now for what, $500? You know, like short films that I used to have Kickstarter projects for. And, you know, I've got 3 feature film scripts written, one which I optioned for a large amount of money back in 2008, almost got made, lost all our funding. And now I'm in talks about bringing that back to life. So now we're partnering with Hollywood level studios. And I know everyone in this room has a script they want to get made. It's like, lean into the tools and make your art. Don't be afraid of what's going to happen 10 years from now, because that's your mindset. That's never going to have worked for you.
Min had a question, but I think a quick one from Tiffany. Has using AI created any cost efficiencies for your clients? I don't know if either of you have
I think I know the answer, but Nick, you want to field that one?
I've actually started charging more because a lot of clients that do want to use AI stuff for internal tests, our team has to bust ass to make that happen. And then it lives in a void that no one sees. So I have a premium fee now for the world doesn't see it. But no, in all seriousness, yes, there's efficiencies. Yes, there's some cost savings, but I still fight against the narrative that it costs nothing, because I think, you know, you're paying for the idea, you're paying for the strategy, you're paying for top level execution.
Yeah. And to speak directly to that, like we've always dealt with deliverables and reformatting and cut downs and localization. So what I'm noticing is there's a huge uptick in like growing localization beyond just changing the subtitles or changing the VO. So now if like there's like in the deck I showed you, Wes had shot for Hyundai and we had to essentially film in one location. But then when it's going to go to the Korean market, the house doesn't look like it's in Korea. It looks like it's from, you know, Jackson Hole. So then we keep the car, keep the actor, and then you can change the environment. So now like your deliverables and your localization is like things that are specifically for one market and were shot in one area can now be repurposed for multiple markets. And yeah, you're charging more for it.
That's interesting. One thing that I've been noticing is like, I feel like on the education and consulting side, I think for people like both of you and a lot of people on this call who have sort of like the long view of all the things that have happened, not like just what happened last week, which might be why somebody just jumped in last week because they're like now finally taking it seriously. I do think that creates a bit of a moat for people that are building businesses, because you now have a much broader range of understanding why and what. And do you feel that as people that have been so close to this, do you sense that as you see new players emerge, that knowledge base that you've built up for yourself, that still benefits you? It might even get deeper as time goes by.
100%. I mean, I was on a pitch yesterday for a very large audio brand, and the question came up about changing the dialogue for this character. And it's like, yeah, I know as a VFX person that would take modeling, rigging, hiring a facial animator, a modeler to change the blend shapes of the mouth, and like all these things, just so that you can repurpose this for another market. So everybody that's still stuck in that workflow, and they're going to spend anywhere from like $40,000 to $80,000 to tweak a project for this market, and we can do that in 2 days or a week or maybe a week and a half with a little extra compositing look, like knowing how to get to where we are is invaluable. So people that are afraid of like losing their skills to technology, I don't think that's ever been the case. People that were shoeing horses opened up tire shops. You know what I mean? People that used to be plugging hair follicles into latex and silicone molds became texture artists. And those people became VFX supervisors. And then those people started companies. So I know Scott Ross and I got into a heated debate about this on LinkedIn where he's like, those are not the same skills. That's not the same situation. But I argue, I think it is. Like
it can be, and it should be for people that are looking to evolve. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Scott Ross. He was my first boss and my first mentor. And that's how I got to know Ed Olbrook. So Scott is a legend and he's been a guiding light in my life this whole career. So I take his words heavily. I don't shrug them off. Like in the machine cinema chat, sometimes I'll get into it with people, but I always circle back and we have a one-on-one just to make sure we're still friends. Yeah.
Min, if just as it's a really smart question, do you want to jump in with your question about like the vibe coding kind of an analogy, Leader?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I get my understanding of, the product workflow is being disrupted, right? Where product managers are vibe coding. They're just talking to these agents or, ChatGPT, and then it's coming up with an app that is usable, but it at least gives you the design, et cetera. And then they're sending that to devs, developers who are then actually building the thing, right? Like just vibe coding, you're not going to get a database, you're not going to get real backend code and all that kind of stuff. So, I wonder if that kind of a, change to the workflow is happening now. Like, I think where I'm most curious is like, how is AI changing collaboration, right? Not just creation. So yeah, that's kind of where that comes from.
Vibe coding as a proof of concept is awesome, but Nick looks like he's got some thoughts on it too. I'm not gonna.
No, I thought Min just wanted to come on and have me rap.
I mean, I also want that, and
let's do it.
It's embarrassing that you haven't, frankly.
All right, you want a 16?
Hey, I'm sorry to just jump in here, Fred and Min. I just was notified you guys are on this whole call, and by Jennifer Green. I don't know how to raise your hand or anything, but I heard you were discussing storyboard artists. So I just I've been a member of your group, Fred and Min, for a while, and do I need to raise my hand or wait for?
I think just for future reference, we try to avoid like the chaos of everybody chipping in. There's a little hand icon on your app that you will grow very comfortable with over time. But you are here, you're speaking. If you have a question, bro, you're welcome to. Do you have a question?
One of the members in this group just texted me and said, "Hey, you should be on here," because they were saying something about storyboard artists and being demand. And I've been coming to your jams and making little films with you guys. But my background, and I've met you, Nick, at an AI event in Venice. But yeah. Anyway, so I'm like 25 years doing storyboards on about $8 billion worth of gross receipt movies, 36 features, and tons of Super Bowl commercials and everything else. So I am changing into adapting AI to with storyboards, and I'm doing projects now where I'm being asked, I'm literally being called in to fix basically what AI is getting wrong. And then I'm adapting the new AI tools to finish out projects where it's amazing because you can you choose the shot you want. And
right there, I would love to talk to you offline about this. 100%. I could get you very busy very soon.
That sounds great.
That's great.
I want to.
Yeah. Same, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to fight over John, Ryan.
Please
Come on,
do.
bro. Come on.
Yeah,
please do.
Oh, dude, we're homies, drop your email.
Nick, you and
Drop your email in the chat.
Well, you can. It's johnfoxart@gmail. JOHNFOXART@gmail. And if you want to see some of the work, it's johnfoxstudio.com. However, because of AI and because of what I've seen happening, I've actually put blocks over the images because now you can take drawings and create a finished feature, it seems. So, as I think you've been doing, Nick. So, I'm excited about what's going on here, and love to be involved with anybody. And I'm
Thanks for
busy
jumping in, John.
doing this now. I have questions for everyone here because I'm literally I'm making an animation, like a Pixar style animation trailer right now, and I can draw like that. And then I'm just changing it into live action. And then last week I was doing something with a worldwide virus software company that is contract to Radical Media. And it was crazy because I was called in to fix what was going on before with how they were trying to plan it. But I'm actually pretty much able to complete the commercial with
John,
visual
I don't mean
effects.
to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I'll stop now.
thank
Thanks.
You, but thank you for joining the call. And it is, unfortunately, it's not just like a pure open forum.
I'll listen now. I'll listen.
Shot your shot.
Sorry, Fred. Sorry. I'll listen now.
No, but well,
I'm
no,
out.
I mean,
I'll
I
just
just
listen.
we're just encouraging people to ask questions, and where we have guests, and also only a few more minutes. I wanted to at least flag both of your OpenAI Sora 2 videos today, because I think both of you kind of expressed yourself yesterday, which I thought was really cool. And I think it kind of speaks to things we talked about in terms of I'm trying to find how do we get. I think I could do WhatsApp. Yes, I was going to show your video that you created. Can you guys see that? Like Ryan's video, does it show up as his little video?
I see a settings bar.
System settings.
Oh shoot, it's kind of
I can
annoying.
see your taxes, Fred. I don't know if that
Oh
was-
shoot. All right. Do you have that amazing video you made, Ryan?
Yeah.
Because I just thought that was one of the most exciting things yesterday, is it really started to show how we can start assembling stories. Nick, I have yours.
Nick inspired. I saw Nick's and I was like, oh shit, I got to make one too now.
Well, I'm going to show Nick's first because I think this
Yeah,
really
like
got a lot of
chess.
people going.
Every move is a message. Send the wrong one and the country falls. I play both sides of the court. When they answer with fire, I call it checkmate.
Skip practice again. Coach benched me anyway. Team needs you, man. You're chasing that contract, but you're forgetting us. Not that simple. Scout wants to be rested. I don't know where I belong. We built this from the blacktop. Don't let suits tear it down. Maybe it's the only...
In a city that runs on pipes. I fixed leaks my whole life, but some things you can't stop from flowing. You ever feel like you're meant for something more? This holiday season, the world meets the man behind the mustache.
They said I was too awkward, too quiet, that I'd never belong, but I kept going. And tonight,
Yeah, look,
As handle on our hair. Yes.
I am the data.
I just want this to be like my nightmare every night, Nick.
And we're good. For me to have Nick in my dreams.
Do you have a way to share your film, Ryan? I think
I sent it a
He
link
just
on
dropped
my-
you.
Yeah,
It's in it's the Instagram. Oh, great! This is so cool. Let me.
This is kind of my day to day right now.
And Instagram. Let's see if it works.
I'm having so much.
27 variance is still high. We need that trim before Friday.
Got it. I'll update the sheet. Ryan, can we get the latest working slide?
Reset for take 3. I want the Jeep to roll through the dip, let the dust clear out, and catch that sunrise. We'll hold the wind until my mark. Copy. Wind on your go. Damn 48 frames. Ready? Rolling. Background's playing. And rolling. I've got the belly in frame. Pyro started now. Nice burst. Keep the move steady. Beautiful hit. Hold on it. That's it. They're locking up. You've got the punch. Perfect. That'll cut beautifully.
Good. Now I want to see the hips loosen up just a bit on the astronaut. Yeah, right there. Let it settle before it moves forward. Perfect. Motion capture feed is coming through clean. Keep the chest open on that spin. Nice job. We'll polish the elbow arcs one.
Started the project, I handed the entire creative process over to an AI. Writing, storyboarding, casting, shooting, editing, even the marketing. All I did was give it a direction and stay out of its way. That film went on.
Those colors
That
are
last
so
take is
rich.
beautiful.
Our client's going to be thrilled.
Yeah,
That's the one. We even caught that little flare she
And it
asked
makes
for.
her look like she's in a magazine spread.
She's going to flip when she
to
sees
happy
this.
clients.
That's the angle. Hold it. Nice slide. Keep it planted. Let the back hang just a touch. All right, bring it back to the right. Good. Lock back. Drone. Keep nudging in. Perfect. That's
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. No, the budget's like 850. We can't go higher. The extra camera day puts us 12 over. So find me a cut somewhere else. Right. And yes, the courthouse is booked for the 22nd. Okay, Scott me a backup downtown by tomorrow morning. So morning, everybody. Give me just.
I mean,
So good. So good.
I know how long it took you to make that, because I remember that I almost sent you the link and then it expired by the time I sent it to you. And within like, I don't know, maybe 90 minutes later, you made that. And again, I mean, including myself and a lot of people here, a lot of us have made quick little videos. I mean, you know, Nick's is like a montage. You created a whole concept. And like, there's a really, like, it's really cool to start to really see the way we're going to build with these new tools. I just wanted everybody to see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But going back to what I said before, it's like there's no level of control somebody's gonna not want, So even if you could just bang out a 90-minute film in 2 days, right? You're gonna want to go through and be like, oh, if we could just do this, right? So that's where it's like taking the creative people that just still have passion left in their hearts and like put them in a room. And going back to what Nick said, I agree. You fully have to be in a room. This whole like work remote, translating notes, billable hours. It's like you're getting people to billing you $10,000 and you're like, you did 4 days of work. Like what's happening here? Put them in a room and watch. That's where the magic happens. And I think Fred, thank you for what you've done for the community.
Yeah.
You've like essentially created this organic thing that we're seeing, for brand jams, gen jams, like hater jams, lunch jams. It's like, this is a thing that I would look to coin you for inventing, or at least contributing to like fueling the community here. And without that, it's like, we're all kind of discovering this in our own little verticals. But at the end of the day, it's like, put everyone in a room and watch the magic happen.
Appreciate you for saying that. And we just got to get Nick to show up to one of our events. We hang out with him. We got to drag him into the jam.
I come to things sometimes.
We got to get to a jam. We got to get to a jam.
And Native Foreign.
Nick and I did a jam in
jam, right, Nick?
We did do a jam. We did a jam with brands. I mean,
Yeah,
that
fair
was
enough.
kind of
Fair enough,
great.
fair enough.
Yeah. No, but I
we love
really-
seeing you. We love seeing you.
Yes. Likewise.
Nick,
Thanks
bye.
everybody.
What's
Thanks
strange?
everybody for showing up today. We're right at time. And also excited for Adriana's film. Congrats to her, another community member on the rise. But thanks to both of you. This was, I love that we were able to go into freestyle and hear both of you answer questions.
Should I do a
cool-
16 for men real quick?
Yes.
Yes, you
I'll
absolutely
do
should.
that.
You have a beat?
Yes, come on now.
Color amplified, mind elastic. Enlightenment was past tense. I don't want to leave the past yet. Memory leap forever. They sleep,
Yeah.
therefore they missed it. So we twist it and toast to the night. I want to make the most out of life. So if I'm a parasite, I make a host out of life. Therapist, the rapist, escapism, travel agent for pagans. Blatantly never got over it, never got into it. Always so limited, looking for freedom from this primitive bliss, whatever this is. It's like it doesn't even matter what the movie we read it is. I know you could take me there, make me stare at the truth, and form myself purified from it, partly thanks to you. Thank you.
Bars.
Son. Bars.
Oh man, that was fucking awesome. That was the best.
I'm
Thank
Sora.
you.
That was so good.
That was just Sora.
That was just real life.
Following
It's just
that
real
up.
life.
Following that up.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks everybody as always for jumping in. Always interested in what people want to hear more about. If people want to DM me suggestions, wide open. We're happy to have Min back in American time zones, which will be even easier for him to be a part of these. At least for the foreseeable future. I think that'll probably change in a week, but we love seeing Min. Thanks everybody for their questions and contributing, and we hope to see you. And I think to go to something Ryan was saying, we are starting to expand formats. We did a bit of like an experimental kind of like camping jam last weekend, some of us in LA. We love hearing what people in the community want to do with this idea of getting together, being creative. We want to be able to support that with our structure and our knowledge on how to do these things right, and also bring resources for invites and also to execute with video gens and stuff. So come to me and men and increasingly a great little cadre of leadership that are the OGs that can help us pull these things off. But as always, we love learning from folks like Ryan and Nick, and thank you both for showing up today.